Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We're continuing to take a look at some of the best games on the Week 2 slate. To be honest, this game is being slept on. Texas A&M probably wins this game. They're favorited by 17 points. But you as a Texas A&M fan want to see more. Sam Houston State, obviously an FCS program. App State's coming to town, and they probably should have beaten UNC. They put up over 600 yards against a UNC defense that's bad but has talent. And App State looked really, really good. Excuse me. Before we get into it, again, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. It's been a blast. Talked a lot with some App State fans heading into the UNC game. Obviously a very tough loss, but you have to be optimistic about how that offense looked. Defense, maybe some question marks. App State playing in Boone, that's one of the hardest places to play in college football. They had a great showing. It was probably the best game of the college football weekend. Then Texas A&M, kind of a bland season for them, or game for them, week 1 against Sam Houston State. Haynes King looked – here's my take on Texas. We'll get right into it. Texas A&M, I've been banging the table for the Aggies to develop some sort of explosive offense. The last 4 years, they've had such good defenses. They've been able to run the ball. The explosive passing game has been outside the top 80. And if you're a team that's trying to make the college football playoffs, trying to win an SEC title, trying to win a national title, that's how good this team is. And we talk a lot of Texas A&M football because they're one of the few teams that have the firepower, have the dogs on their team to beat teams like Alabama and Georgia. We saw it last year. They just need to be more consistent. And it starts with the passing game, the quarterback play, and the development of those wide receivers. For so many years, you just haven't seen Texas A&M be explosive through the air. Today, I should say on Saturday, they were very explosive through the air. Haynes King hit Aeneas Smith for a big one, hit Brown for a big one. You saw some explosive passing game metrics. What you didn't see is some rhythm, any consistency. Haynes King turned the ball over again a couple times. It was a problem before he got hurt last year. It seems to still be a problem, trying to fit the ball into tight windows. Haynes King's a guy with very good arm talent. He's obviously a very good athlete, one of the fastest players on the team, which is crazy considering how athletic that Texas A&M Aggies team is. But he's got to develop some more consistency. And the biggest thing I was so surprised with is the run game. It's an offensive line that, you lose Kenyon Green and you had some question marks, but you had some guys that you felt pretty good about. And you didn't see, I don't think you even saw Bryce Foster play. I think he's been banged up in camp. He obviously took the spring off for his track and field season. This offensive line didn't really win the line of scrimmage. Devin Achane averaged less than 3 yards a carry. I think his longest play from scrimmage was 12 yards. That's a guy that, there's a couple of things you take from that run game. One, I was surprised to see how many carries they gave to him. 18 carries for a guy who's not that big. Devin Achane's RB1 in that offense, for sure, but I thought he'd be spelled a little bit more than he was. They gave him the ball a lot, and they just didn't have much success. I mean, again, averaging under 3 yards a carry to an FCS team. Sam Houston State's a good program, but you expect Texas A&M to kind of gear it up a little bit. App State comes to town. It's another chance for Haynes King to develop some more consistency with his team, with his wide receivers. A group of wide receivers that I might note is very talented. Aeneas Smith is one of my favorite players in college football from the sense of just being explosive. You'll Keith Brown had some explosive plays. And then you have two young guys in Evan Stewart and Chris Marshall who are very good. Chase Lane, you have Jalen Preston, Moose Muhammad. There's a lot of playmakers in that offense and on the perimeter. But Haynes King just didn't really seem to get any rhythm outside of those explosive plays. So you're looking at that offensive performance and saying, okay, we wanted to see more explosive plays from the passing game, and you got that. But you didn't really have the consistency. You didn't really have that run game that you thought would be really good. I mean, Achane's a guy that averaged over 7 yards a carry last year, and he averaged under 3 against an FCS team. On the other side of the ball, not much to say. This defense is going to be very good. This is a team that, as much as I liked a guy like Aaron Hansford at that linebacker spot last year, there was a reason why he was still playing football as a 6-year senior. Just didn't have that next level of juice. He was a very good college football player, but not an NFL guy. You're looking at some linebackers who are legit NFL talent guys. Adarin Cooper, Andre White. Those guys can play at the next level. They have that special juice to them. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of what Georgia did last year. You had a very dominant defensive line, which Texas A&M has. I mean, there's a laundry list of guys we could go down and talk about. Shamar Turner probably being my favorite. But what I'm more excited to see is how these athletic linebackers who play with their head on fire can look behind how good this defensive line is. So, and then on top of that, very good secondary, Antonio Johnson, one of my favorite players in the country. He's going to be a first-round pick. Don't want to spend too much time on the Texas A&M defense because we already know about them. They are very good. The offense, that's where you have the question marks with. And you still have question marks. You weren't going to answer all the questions against Sam Houston State, but you still have some question marks. You're playing App State, a team that you got to play your best football to win. They've beaten teams in the top 10 before. They can compete. And if you're an App State fan, what you saw to Chase Bryce, Nate Noel was extreme. He was untackleable. I mean, UNC guys were just bouncing off this guy. He's a jitterbug in the hole. App State is a good team. And for a team that graduated their 3 top receiving targets from last year, Chase Bryce looked awesome. Noel looked awesome. The offensive line looked really good. Defense, on the other hand, looked not great. So you're kind of seeing a battle of probably strengths and weaknesses. App State defense did not look very good outside of Nick Hampton. Texas A&M offense didn't look very good. So this is a chance for Texas A&M to get that offense going against kind of a weaker App State defense before you get into this Miami game in week 3. App State, on the other hand, their offense is going to get tested. A team that put up almost 700 yards of total offense against UNC is going up against a top 5 defense in the country in Texas A&M on the road. It's going to be a really tough matchup, a matchup that I'm really excited for because you're seeing kind of some of the best offensive play we saw last week is going up against some of the best defensive play we saw. And if you're an Aggies fan, you want to see that offense get some more chemistry. You want to see some more consistency. In terms of the spread, 17.5, I believe it sits at. Now it's up to 19, so it's getting bet up. I honestly don't really love a play here. Texas A&M's offense didn't inspire much confidence for me to have them cover 3 touchdowns. If I were to make a play, and this isn't like an official play, I will not probably be touching this game. I'll just be watching this game because Texas A&M's a team that I have eyeballs on because of what we talked about. They're one of the only teams that has the talent, has the juice to be able to compete in the SEC. As good as teams like Kentucky are, they just don't have the playmakers to make it happen. Texas A&M is one of the few teams that does. I will be watching them. The keys of the game. Let's see Haynes King not turn the ball over and just be a little bit more consistent. Let's see a little bit more rhythm, and let's see a little bit more of a run game. Haynes King's a quarterback that he's no Heisman Trophy winner, and he needs some help. He needs some good running game. He needs his playmakers to make some plays. I'm excited to see the growth of Chris Marshall, Evan Stewart, that chemistry between guys like Aeneas Smith and Haynes King, who haven't really played much together because Haynes King was hurt all year. This team and this offense, in my mind, is kind of a sleeping giant. They just got to wake up and become that offense that we all know they can be. That'll do it for our preview on this Texas A&M App State game. Again, this is a game that I'm excited to see. I want to see Texas A&M get some rhythm on offense, and quite frankly, I'm excited to see if App State can do anything on offense against a Texas A&M defense that will just swallow you up and smother you out. Appreciate you guys checking us out as usual. If you do like the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of the game. We really do appreciate all the support, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.